guys.
Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of the Mindful Witchery podcast.
Welcome back. So, we've got some stories today.
Yes.
I feel like it's going to be story time.
Mm-hmm. Story time.
So, I was just telling Lori that I have an animal omens story.
Oh, nice. I can't wait. See, I haven't heard this yet, so I get to be surprised.
So, there's some backstory. So, Carson and I got together about... Goodness, I think it's almost like 6.5, 7 years. I don't remember. Just pause it. Hello.
Yes?
Yeah, but you can come in.
Hi. My son just came in the door. This is life, folks. This is real life.
Do you want to come on our podcast? We're telling stories. Right now? Yeah, why not?
My son just got back from work. He got back from his job. Probably super hot and sweaty. My son, Dan. Yes, Jordan's coming over for dinner. Jordan is Daniel's girlfriend.
Just like do like an unedited podcast and just like leave everything.
Every little thing.
The sound of the dog. Actually, the dog needs to go outside, buddy. And make sure you close the door behind you because I'm trying to keep the cool in. We're recording this. This is crazy.
I'll cut it out later if it needs to.
This is real life in the Allen house in our recording studio.
Yeah. Well, we always have snacks. And always have visitors dropping in.
Yes, always have snacks and we always have visitors.
What was I talking about?
Your
Omen story.
Yes.
Okay, so Carson and I got together. We were looking for our first apartment together. And I'm going to kind of like play around in a timeline a little bit with this story. So Carson and I was living in Orange, Mass at the time, and he was still living in Keene. So we must have been in Brattleboro or something.
Orange or Keene.
I know, right? And so we were both driving in my car, and we were headed from Brattleboro down to Greenfields, where we currently reside. So our first apartment together, we ended up getting the apartment we were going to see, and we were on the highway, Lori, and all of a sudden, a deer about 500 feet in front of us ran out in front of the car. Like, it was a big guy. And so we're like, whoa, that was weird. And I just remember saying like, oh, it must be an omen. Mm-hmm. Lori, no more than like less than 30 seconds later, a huge black bear comes out of the woods.
Oh my goodness.
About 500 feet away from us and walks casually across the highway.
Doo-doo-doo.
That does not happen.
No,
that
it doesn't.
has never happened to me. I've lived in New England most of my life, pretty much all of my life. I've never seen that happen. Random. So random. Mm-hmm. That has never again happened on 91, ever. That very specific moment, and we're like, this is weird. We ended up getting that apartment. It was like, it was the perfect place for us at the time, all of that. So, fast forward till now. Carson and I are looking for a house, and we've been looking for a while now, and we were on the way to go to a house showing this weekend. On the way there, we were just like, we were driving, all of a sudden, Lori, out of nowhere, a bird flew in front of my car. Oh. I hit it, and it rolled up in my tire.
Oh, no. Oh.
I felt it, all of it. I was just like, okay, you know what? Like, at the time, it didn't occur to me, like, this is a bad omen. Like, it didn't occur to me. And then we were on our way back from the open house. The open house went great. We ended up putting in an offer. They didn't take our offer, but we put in an offer. And we were on the way back to his parents' house. His parents live in Keene. And Lori, all of a sudden, Carson and I were like, oh, like, this house is so great. Should we put an offer in it? I was driving on Route 9. And Carson's just like, deer. And I look over, Lori, I'm driving, a deer face to face with me.
Oh my God.
Locked eyes. It was right up at my window. Uh-huh. I'm so glad I had my window up because it would have probably like came in my car. Mm-hmm. It head slammed into the side of my car. I have a huge dent on the side of my car now.
Oh my gosh.
And it rolled and it still was looking at me. It was awful. Let me just say it was awful. We are fine. Everything's fine. The deer ended up like, I saw it get up and run into the woods. But we're like, is this... And then we're like, oh my God, is this an omen? Uh-huh. Is this a sign? Like, is it a good sign? Because we hurt 2 animals.
Yeah.
Is it like
2 animals are dead?
And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. And we're like shaking because it was loud. And I pulled over the side of the road and I'm like, is this a good, like, how do we know should we put an offer in the house? Is it a good sign? And so I was sitting there after, and I was like, oh my God. So now fast forward before all of this, it was 2005. My brother and I were driving in my little Toyota Tercel. Our first time moving to Brattleboro, my parents bought a house. And we've never seen it before, and him and I drove there in the car. And before exit 1 in Brattleboro, if you know the area, the biggest moose I've ever seen in my life was standing in the middle of the highway. I have lived in this area for a long time. That has never happened again. I have never once seen a moose.
They're very elusive creatures. You wouldn't just see one out of nowhere.
No. Like, I have driven that highway thousands probably of times, like hundreds of times. Never again have I seen a moose. Never again have I seen a bear. Like, just not like that. And I'm like, it was a sign. So every time I move, some big significant shift happens. These animals come out of nowhere. We weren't meant to get this house because the deer was trying to tell me no.
Right.
Like,
Don't.
I'm going to run into your car. So that's my crazy story. Even Carson's like, I don't know what to make of this. I'm like, we weren't meant to get this house.
Even the logical Carson is saying, I don't know what to make of this.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So now we're like every time we're going to go see a house or an apartment or whatever, we're going to be like, if an animal shows up and we don't kill it, it's a good sign.
There you go. If we don't kill it, it's a good sign. Absolutely.
Lori was insane. It was crazy. I'm still like shaken about it because I'm like, oh my God, that deer was trying to tell me something.
And that's a good question too for people is what kind of animal omens have you experienced?
Yeah.
What kind of experiences with animals have you had that have kind of been predictive or have eventually come to fruition, something happening in your future? Have you had animal omens?
Yeah.
I actually can say that I have never really had an animal omen. I don't know if animals don't like me or what the problem is.
Maybe you're just not listening. They're all they're like falling all around. And,
maybe I should just listen.
That cardinal you were talking about.
Well, yeah, the cardinal
that
came when my mother passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Now you gotta
Now I'm gonna have to start thinking about animal omens.
It's interesting. I'm like, I still don't know what to make of it, but now that happened, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Something's going on.
But let's go with it.
But I'm gonna go with it. And if all of a sudden I see another moose, I know it was a good move. We should put an offer in on it.
Most people never see a moose in their entire lifetime. No. Even in New England where they're prevalent. And I'm always so jealous of people who see moose because I've tried everything I know how to see a moose, and I have never seen one in the 20 plus years that we have lived in New England. I've never, ever seen a moose, and I get so jealous when people tell me they have.
They're beautiful. I've seen more moose, honestly, when I lived in North Reading, Mass, that I ever have out here, and there's more moose out here. So I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's weird. Now, I see a lot of, maybe there are omens because when we came back from seeing our property for the first time up in the Catskills, we saw 75, count them, 75 deer.
Really?
Yes. All over the place. Literally driving back down the Taconic Parkway, we almost hit deer probably a dozen times.
Wow.
And before that, they were in everybody's yard. We saw them in people's yards. We saw them over here in the road. We saw them next to the road. We saw them in the creek next to the road. 75 deer at least.
I've never seen that many together.
Crazy. And a 2.5-hour ride back to Massachusetts. 75 deer.
Yeah, usually we see like 4 or 5 together.
Maybe that was
was your sign.
I mean, they were everywhere. They were in the ditches. They were on the sides of the road. They were in the road. They were everywhere.
That's your sign.
I didn't think we were going to make it home without the car hitting a deer.
It's scary. Have you ever hit a deer?
I have never hit a deer. Roger's hit a deer.
He recently just did. It's scary. I've only hit 2, both around the same place in Keene. Same place, like literally.
Keene is a mecca for deer.
Yeah,
there's a lot of deer.
There's a lot of deer, and one was the first time I did. I think I was in my early 20s. I worked with adults with disabilities in Keene, and I was on my way home. It was late. Fog came out of nowhere. It was kind of like the movie The Fog, like out of nowhere. And I put my headlights on. I couldn't see anything, and I was driving, and then all of a sudden, same thing. I saw its eye, and it came flying in front of the road, hit my car, and it was a huge deer. It had antlers. His antlers scraped the front of my car. God. He rolled and disappeared. And I'm like, where is he? And cars wouldn't be able to see me, so I had to leave my brakes on because, like, there was no visual. So I almost got out of my car. Lori, it scared the shit out of me. It was actually laying in front of my car, and all of a sudden it just got
it's like they get their second wind and they go.
Got up out of nowhere, like looked at me and like ran. I'm like, that was the scariest thing. So I actually pulled my car to the side of the road because I couldn't see, and I'm like, if there's more deer, I don't want to be involved in this. Yeah. It crushed the front of my car.
I've only hit squirrels and rabbits and things like that, and that's bad enough. I feel so bad if I've hit quite a few squirrels because squirrels are so indecisive. They get to the middle of the road and they're like, "I'll go this way, that way. Which one am I going to go? No, I'm going to go back that way, even though there's a car coming." Yeah, it's crazy. Squirrels are like ADHD to the maximum.
They
capacity.
Are the animal representation of somebody with squirrel.
Yeah, it's and I've never hit. Like, Roger, one time we were going somewhere, and he hit a cat. Oh. And that was really sad, because then you wonder who owns the cat, but we were in a completely deserted area. There's no way we could have found out. So we did take the cat to the side of the road and put it on the side of the road instead of getting run over again and again and again.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, sometimes it happens. Mm-hmm. People's dogs get out. I saw, goodness, it was a long time ago, but somebody's dog must have got loose. It was a bloodhound. Mm-hmm. It was running on 91.
Oh, yeah, running bloodhounds and their noses.
Yeah, it was running across the highway, and people kept stopping, trying to, like, get it. It just ran. Mm-hmm. It ran, and I actually kind of, like, it was running so fast, I kind of, like, followed it. Mm-hmm. Like, because you could see everybody was slowing down because, like, the dog was just running. I think eventually somebody got it. Mm-hmm. Like, it ran into the woods, and somebody... Like, people were on it, though. Uh-huh. Like, there was a bunch of people, like, we're going to get this dog. I'm like, I got to go. Yeah.
We're going to get this dog. Yeah. Get out of your car. Help me get this dog.
Good luck finding a bloodhound.
Good luck with that. Yeah. Oh, my God. All you got to do is get out a slab of bacon.
Their faces are so cute.
Oh, their faces are so cute. I've always wanted to have a bloodhound, and I said, once we move up to the Catskills, I'd like to have a bloodhound that does nothing but sit on the porch.
Oh, yep.
Just lays on the porch. Yep. Until they sniff something, until they get a sniff of something, and then they're off like
with
a shot.
Big flappy face.
Yes.
They're so cute.
And they're drooly, and they're not. Yeah. They're pretty cute.
Yeah, they are really cute.
I'm a cat person, but I do love bloodhounds. They're so cute. Oh my goodness! Well, that is an Omen story.
My story.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
You never know.
You never know.
I mean, we talked about this earlier, how we coexist. Our egos are such most of the time that we don't believe that we just simply coexist with other living things. Mm-hmm. But we do. Yeah. They have an effect on us, and we have an effect on them.
Yeah, directly.
Directly.
Too. Yeah.
And sometimes our egos our overweening egos allow us to it gets in the way of our realizing that we are just a member of a larger society, folks. We really, really are. Yeah. We were talking about this just earlier today about death, mm-hmm. and how sometimes we can't really come to the conclusion that sometimes people die, rather than we start to question God. We start to question, why would God let this happen? And we were saying, that's a completely logical thing to do.
Most definitely.
But because we like to compartmentalize things, mm-hmm. we want to know why. We're inquisitive.
We want to know why.
We're inquisitive.
Why is it happening to you so you can fix it?
Mm-hmm. And somebody told me once, if you ask yourself, why is this happening? The answer to that every time is, because it is.
Yeah.
And I think we're so far detached from the fact that we are just simply members of the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
That we don't even think in terms of sometimes things just happen.
It's very Western culture mindset. Mm-hmm. And I know other cultures are closer to living with nature, but very in America, death is so taboo. Mm-hmm. Where we're taught to separate it. We're taught that humans are separate from ants.
Right.
And we're taught that. And just because, intellectually, we're smarter in certain ways, but we're not in other ways.
Right. We don't live we live with nature, not necessarily just in nature. We live with nature.
We do. We depend on it to build our houses.
Think about bees.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? Albert Einstein said that if bees were gone, that the human race would be gone in less than 4 months.
Yeah.
we'd be gone.
We'd be gone.
I mean, think about, and if you start to really think about how interdependent we are on one another, I mean, not only are we dependent on other living things, but they're dependent on us as well.
Yep.
It makes things seem a little bit more natural.
Yeah.
Things happen because
they
do. You know,
they do.
And I'm not trying to say that to be cold or in any way diminish somebody's grief, because I know losing my mother, I had to think that. I had to think. My mother just passed away. She died because she was old.
Yeah.
Her body shut down.
Mm-hmm.
When things get old, they start to shut down. They've been through so many years of activities, they start to shut down. It doesn't diminish my missing my mother, and it doesn't diminish my sadness over my mother, but it explains it.
Yeah. Helps you see the beauty of it, too. Like,
Yeah.
wow, like, this is a natural thing that she got to go through.
From nature we came, and to nature we go back to.
And that you get to experience and be with this part of nature. It's, like, really beautiful.
It really is.
It can be sad. Beautiful things can be sad. And, you know, I've lost plenty of people, too. And to think back, and because I kind of... Each death I've dealt with differently, depending on how much I knew at the time. And the more recent deaths, I've been able to rationalize. I don't know if that's the right word, but
and that's a really hard.
Better.
That's a hard pill to swallow because I mean, people who have really, you know, have experienced such incredible losses that are so tragic. Like the context also kind of affects how you grieve about something. For example, I mean, it could be said that, you know, my mother passing away, maybe I didn't grieve as much as a person who lost a baby.
Yeah.
Or a person who lost their cat. But they're all really essentially the same. Yeah. I might take some flack for that, just saying that. But they are essentially the same. You have lost something.
Yeah.
So there's really no way to define how much you grieve based on context.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, actually.
So, yeah, I mean, that sounds a little strange. And, you know, if anybody wants to tell me I'm crazy, that's totally fine. But it seems like we try very hard to say, this person who just had a drug overdose.
Yeah, their death is somehow less important.
Yeah, their death is somehow less important.
Of, like, your mother or that. But I'm like, I get it, because our emotional attachment's very different. The way we grieve with each person's going to be different. But to acknowledge it not as less than. Right. It's not less than. We all die. It's equal. It's equal for all of us. And the way we die is just different, and sometimes it's more tragic. Yes, absolutely. And I can acknowledge that too. Yeah. It's I think what I'm trying to say in this whole thing is that everybody has their way of grieving. Everybody has their time for grieving. And there's really no way to formulate, your mother died, so you're going to grieve for approximately 14 days. Yeah. But your cat died, so that means you can only grieve for 2 days because it's a cat. I forget where I read this, but I think it was Victorian times that men were allowed to grieve or mourn for like 14 days, and women were allowed to mourn up to like 3 years or something. But it depended on who died. Like if your husband died, this is your allotted time. If your wife died, you wear black. This is your allotted time. Weird. Crazy. It is. It really is. It's just, you know, I don't know how we get these conceptions of death, but we do, and it's natural. I just wish that we considered it more natural than we do. Me too. Yeah. I think the conversation was less taboo. I think it would bring comfort if we thought about it more as a process. And that's not to be cold, but I think if we thought of it more as a process, which it is, just like birth is a process, death is a process. And I think if we thought of it more that way, I think it might give some comfort. And I know how horrible it is to lose people. And so do you. Everybody's lost someone that they love. And I think if we see it as more of a almost like an extension of life, because to me, life doesn't end. Yeah. Energy doesn't die. It only changes form. Yeah. It leaves its shell. I'm kind of excited to see what happens. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm excited. We don't know. It's a continuation of, I mean, that's my personal belief, is that
death is just a continuation of the next
Yeah.
layer of what is life for you, you know, but that's just me. And like I said, I can't tell anybody how to grieve. And I've seen, you know, situations where I look at it and I go, man, that's a nightmare that you never wake up from.
Yeah.
Because it's so tragic or so ironic or you know, just something about it is just so wrong. And everybody has their way of dealing with that. So I guess that's what I'm saying in the end.
No,
Nobody
I
can
agree.
tell you how to grieve.
And you never know how you're going to react.
Exactly.
Because it could happen and you think you're going to react a certain way. Every person in my life who's passed away has been so different in the way I physically and mentally react to it. Actually, Lori and I were talking about earlier, but I didn't tell you this, but somebody that I was friends with when I first moved to Brattleboro, just part of the friends group, recently passed. I think she just turned 30.
Oh, that's so young.
It hit me in a very interesting way. I've been so removed from that friends group for a while. And I've still been processing it because the same friends group, I've already lost 2 dear friends in the past 5 years. Another overdose. My friend Nick got hit by a train. Just very random. But I realized that, like, I don't look at the overdose as being less than my friend getting hit by a train, right? Like I'm not comparing them either, but I was thinking about that, like how I reacted to somebody who I used to know in comparison to somebody I was like really, really close to, and it still hurts. It's like almost like what could have been done almost in a way to prevent this, but sometimes there isn't anything, right? Sometimes it just happens, and that does sound cold. It really, I know it does.
I feel like I just sounded like the biggest bitch in the world by what I just said.
No,
you know,
I think there's an understanding, especially if you practice witchcraft too, that if you come from that mindset, what we're saying may resonate way deeper than if somebody was coming from a
if you do practice,
Christian, which I mean, I'm not saying either right or wrong. It's just how we look at it, and it doesn't take the sadness out of it though. And I think the way we're saying it
sounds like we just go, oh, okay,
oh, okay, no,
circle of life,
no, grieving is part of it, sadness is part of it, but I think the difference is it's acknowledging it and allowing the feelings to just happen, knowing that it's part of the natural process of it, and talking about it.
Owning your grief. Owning it's just like any other emotion. We talk about how we own our anger, how we own our grief as well. I mean, we have to own that, and we own it in our way. You know, whether you are believing the Christian traditional belief of, you know, that you know, you're buried and then your soul goes to heaven, or whether you believe that your soul goes someplace else and keeps going on and on and on. Regardless, you've experienced the loss. It's just handled differently, and neither way is right, or either way is not right or wrong.
No, because none of us know, really. Like, you know,
we don't.
No, and I kind of love it. That's why I'm kind of curious. Like,
that's the last mystery of life.
A weird part of me is just like, I wonder who is right at the end. I wonder who was right.
And the last, it's really the true last mystery of this universe that we know of right now. I mean, we don't know what happens after we die. We might just go on and on and on and find more and more mystery out there.
You may become a rock. Somewhere. I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, you never know who has it right and who has it wrong. It might be a combination of all of it. You just never know.
But being open to it.
Being open to it and really experiencing those feelings helps. I mean, the process of grieving is yours and yours alone. Nobody can tell you how to do it. I know I see the range, and I try to observe. When somebody passes, the different ways that people grieve. I mean, it's some people are, you know, super emotional, and again, it depends on context. It's like we said, you know, sometimes people who, you know, there have been 3 overdoses in Belchertown in the last 2 weeks, and it's hard because I know a lot of people have different thoughts on whose fault was this, you know, and that kind of thing. But I feel like with death, you really can't blame anybody. I mean, it's one of those things
so
where
much more than that.
These 3 people who died in these past 2 weeks have families. who are grieving a loss. The context does not matter at that point.
No.
It is the loss that matters. Yeah. And and these people were loved. They mattered.
Yeah.
Their lives mattered. They had every right to be happy.
They weren't bad people.
No, they were not bad people.
Yeah.
And that's the part that kind of gets to me, is I hear people make remarks, and it's hurtful, and it's hard to understand how people can be so heartless as to say, well, maybe they deserved it, or they brought it on themselves, or it was.
Are you God? Can you determine that? Like, really? I know. I think a lot has to do with a systemic lack of understanding about our own psychology and what addiction is.
And isn't next month, am I correct in saying that June is Mental Health Awareness Month?
I think so. I never keep track of that.
I think it is. I think it's Mental Health Awareness Month. I don't think it was this month. I think it's next month.
It might be next month.
But
educate yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have to understand that, people are experiencing illnesses that you can't see.
Yeah. Most people are.
Exactly. My whole family's coming home. Oh, there's Jordan. Hi, Jordan.
Hi. Thanks, Jimmy.
So, yeah, it's people are experiencing things that we will never be able to physically see. So, yeah, I'm thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think it is Mental Health Awareness Month in January.
Look that up.
I'm going to look that up right now. Google is at my fingertips.
Yeah, and I think, too, it's important to know that it's so easy to judge other people. But when you try to make it a habit to, when you start judging somebody, just take a step back and just realize that we all have a different story and we're all coming from a different place. And if you're realizing that you're judging somebody, it's very black and white thinking, because you can't possibly know what's going on with them in their head.
I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's May.
Oh, is it May?
Yes.
Oh, be mental health awareness stuff.
Absolutely.
What a great way to end the month.
It is. And the thing is, I know that, these people are trying hard to get sober. They're trying hard to live a normal life and to have a happy life. They're not sitting there going, oh, I'm so sad. I just want to continue to be sad.
Yeah.
They're experiencing something in their psyche, some trauma, something that, I guess what I'm saying is that drug addiction is a symptom of a problem. It's not the problem.
It's not the problem. Yeah.
And the sooner we can realize that and really empathize with people, the better off we are going to be, because this is not an epidemic that's going to go away.
No, it's getting worse again.
This epidemic is killing more people than cancer. Yeah. It's killing more people than AIDS is killing. It's killing people.
Yeah. After this pandemic and everything that's going on, there's been such an uptake of addiction related problems happening, and different kinds of drugs. People have been home. So many people have relapsed.
Yes.
So many people have relapsed, whether that be from an eating disorder or, I was reading, actually talking about that. Eating disorder is part of the addiction umbrella. So I don't know, we don't have to go into that, but the amount of people checking themselves in for eating disorders after this year and the stress of this year in kids has been incredible, not in a good way. It's sad because a lot of people aren't getting the help that they need,
and not only and not getting the help they need, and also feeling like they're fighting this battle alone.
Yes,
that's what really kills me, I think, more than anything else, is that people who are addicted, people who are experiencing eating disorders, people who have mental health issues feel completely alone and isolated. And it's just important to let people know, even if you have to just shout it at the rooftops, that you love them, that you're there, that their life matters. Yeah. Because sometimes you just feel like your life does not matter in the grand scheme of things. Folks, every one of you, every person out there, their life matters.
Yeah.
It's the whole cause and effect thing. Everything you do affects someone or something else around you. Everyone has that.
And that person might not have the words. You may not have the words to ask for help. But that little inkling inside of you thinking that something is wrong, try to pay attention to that. Because I waited too long with certain things because I didn't have the words. And I was just like, no, that's not me. That's,
Even if you have to write a letter, even if you can't say it out loud, if you write a letter, if you, there's...
Journal it.
Yeah. Anything that helps you realize that you are not alone in this world, because the idea of someone passing into the next journey in their life, passing away alone, feeling alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at all these, like these, these rock stars who died. I mean, every lead singer except for Eddie Vedder from the grunge movement has passed.
Yeah.
And I think about how those people ended this, and so many people loved them, and they felt so alone. I think the most tragic one I can think of is Michael Hutchence from NXS. He died thinking no one loved him.
Ugh.
And everyone loved him. He was beautiful.
Yeah.
Inside and out, and everyone loved him. And he died thinking no one loved him. Kurt Cobain died thinking nobody loved him. Lane Staley died thinking nobody loved him. And that just hits me cuts me like a knife, man.
They're really great examples of how powerful our brains are, like even like chemically, that can convince us of things like that. If you have any type of chemical imbalance or any type of mental illness, for somebody who doesn't, it's really hard to explain, but you don't always feel in control.
Right.
Like I've talked about it before, but I have different types of food addictions. So willpower is bullshit. Mm-hmm. It really is. Like,
just will it.
Oh, just don't
do it.
Just don't do it. Oh, okay.
That's super understanding.
Thank you.
Like, I haven't thought about that one before myself.
Like, just don't think about it.
Oh,
just don't think
just
about
don't think
eating.
about it. Do something else.
Yeah.
Get your attention away from it. Think about something else.
And I actually explained it to a friend of mine this morning, actually, that it's not about willpower. Mm-mm. When somebody goes and takes that drink and relapses, for example, it's almost like you have no control. Like if you're stressed out or anything, it's off. Mm-hmm. It's like you see yourself doing it and you say in your brain, like, no, like, no. And you do it anyway. Mm-hmm. It's like you have no control sometimes.
Right.
And I do that with food. Mm-hmm. And it's ridiculous.
Literally my entire family's coming home.
You can come in. We're almost done.
My husband is here.
Yes. Everybody's coming by to be part of our podcast.
Yeah, we've
today.
had DJ came in, Jordan came in, you came in. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things that I just feel so. It just breaks my heart. I think about Lane Staley, the lead singer of Alice in Chains, sitting on his couch dead for 14 days before anybody found him. That's how alone he was. No one came to visit. No one came to check on him. There was no wellness checks done. Finally, I think a wellness check was done. But 14 days, he sat there dead with a needle in his foot. And nobody came to check on him. That kind of thing just hits me so hard. Oh, I just hope everybody knows out there that you're not alone. You don't have to be alone.
No. Yeah, and I'll post below some help phone numbers and stuff.
And if nothing else, guys, if you know somebody who is having issues, issues with addiction or issues with any type of mental health, just go up to a man and just say, you know what, I love you. I love you. Sometimes that helps more than you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes people lose track of that in this busy world that we live in. We lose track that there are really people out there who love us and care for us and who would be very, very alone and feel terribly and grieve if you were gone. Mm-hmm. So, something to think about.
Yeah. I know, we've been wanting to talk about this topic for a bit now.
This is heavy.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Sometimes things get real.
Things get real.
Being a witch is all about being real. Absolutely.
Being a witch is all about being real. And we think about these things and we think about you guys. And so just know that we love you.
Yeah. Yeah, and watch out for those omens.
Yes, watch out for the omens. Watch out for the animals.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. And we will see you on the next episode of Mindful Witchery.
We will see you later, guys.
Bye.